today's session of Divorce Court. Relundus, Washington says he truly loved Carla, but the marriage is over because she thinks she's his boss.
My ideal marriage is to have a house husband. I pay the bills and you take care of the house.
Did you forget that he could cheat on you while he was at home and you at work?
You're right. If I'm working 180 hours every 2 weeks, I'm gonna go do what I want to do when I want to do it.
But he says the real boss is her teenage son, and he's had enough.
Why, you living in separate houses? Because of the 16-year-old?
Exactly.
How does he have the right to sit up and tell you what you can do and not do in terms of your relationship with your husband?
It's the case of Carla Washington versus Relundus, Washington in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Carla Washington versus Relundus, Washington. And the Washingtons have come to me for a divorce after 1.5 years of marriage. Now, what went wrong in 1.5 years? Please tell me.
Well, he thought that it was okay for him to chauffeur other women around in my car, Your Honor. And when I say chauffeur, I don't mean in the back seat.
No, I didn't.
Okay?
No.
I'm talking in the front seat. And he spent nights with his customers.
No, I didn't spend nights with my customers until you threw me out.
No, he just spent the night out.
Wait a minute now. You had a car that you turned into a cab.
Yeah.
And you were using it for business.
Correct.
And most of your customers happen to be female.
Not all of them.
And
I
no
didn't
money
say
ever came
all.
home.
I said most of your customers.
Yes,
I thought
most of
cab
them
drivers got paid, Your Honor.
Well, some of them
You
do and some
benefited
of them
from it.
don't. Did you get paid?
Yes, I did.
The money didn't come home.
Yes, it did.
Where'd he go to?
Ask her.
I thought
benefited
cab
from-
drivers drove their customers in the back seat. She said you were riding yours in the front seat.
No, they rode in the back seat.
No, they
some
rode in
rode
the
in the
front
front
seat.
seat.
Why do you think that these people weren't customers that he was riding?
Because the women would call my house, Your Honor, and demand to speak to him, even though I told them that I was his wife. Okay?
Customers can't call to get a cab?
No.
Did you have a phone somewhere other
Not
than the
when she
house?
called me and tell me that, well, he's supposed to be here at 11 to pick me up, but tell him to come in at 10 o'clock instead because I'm getting off a little early so we can spend some extra time together. And then
That's what the woman would call and say to you?
Then when she calls and tells me,
No.
I ask her, do you know who I am? And she says, you're Mrs. Washington. I said, so how can you call another woman's house and ask for her husband? She said, oh, I thought you were his mother.
Oh, Mr. Washington. So, your customers think that you live with your mother.
Well, you know, Your Honor, the reason
Well,
why...
I heard that sometimes husbands get mothers confused with wives, but...
Well, the reason why I called her my mother because I was too embarrassed to say that she was my wife. Only thing she did, she stayed at home, fed her face.
Wait a minute, you told the customer she was your mother?
Yeah, how was that? What was I supposed to say? That's my wife, and my wife is...
Excuse me.
You were
she's not
supposed
being
to
a
say
wife.
that's your wife.
My wife, she wasn't being a wife.
No, Miss Washington, I'm talking to him now.
If she would have been being a wife, I would have said that's my wife.
So why do you have to tell the customer and explain things to your customer?
That's why I just said that's my mother.
Why? Why you have to lie to your customer?
Because I was too embarrassed to say that's my wife.
And what's the embarrassment about a customer that you're riding around and getting paid for?
Because if she was being a wife, I would have said that was my wife.
Oh, come on, Mr. Washington. You must think I woke up this morning and just got here.
No, I don't think that, Your Honor. But I'm only keeping it real, being honest with you.
No, you're not keeping it real and being honest with me. You're trying to fool me.
No.
But why do you have to tell a customer anything about your wife, your mother, or anything else? Why do you have to explain to a customer anything other than where are you going and pay me my money when I get there? If you're the cab driver.
Well, they asked who's answering the phone.
Why? What is it their business? Why? Come on with it.
Maybe they thought I had a secretary. I don't know.
So you don't have to tell them it's your mother, your wife, or anything else. You know what you can tell them?
What's that?
It's none of your business.
Well, I try to be polite.
Oh, too polite, I think. You think you trying to pull something over me? Please try that with my little 2-year-old granddaughter and see if it works.
And you know what, Your Honor? She was very polite to him because as soon as I put him out, where did he go? He went to live with her. So they were doing a lot of politeness back and forth.
What was I supposed to do?
Okay?
It was a lot of, excuse me, what are you saying? The same person that he told was your mother?
Oh, yes.
He went to live with her?
Oh, yes.
So what did you think she was, your daughter?
No, she was just a friend.
Oh, so now she became a friend. From a customer to a friend, and you're too embarrassed to tell her that you have a wife.
Oh, I told her, eventually, but
And you still trying to make me think that there was no hanky-panky going on.
In the beginning, no, there wasn't. It did not happen. It did not happen.
It never is in the beginning, Mr. Washington.
Until afterwards.
Until you set some, until you lay the foundation.
Right.
So you were working on the foundation. That's why you were telling her it was your mother.
No, not necessarily. I wasn't working on the foundation. It was just a friendship thing at the time. I didn't know.
That's called the foundation. From friendship to courtship to loveship. You were working on the foundation. Okay. Trying to start it out as a little lightweight romance and friendship. Like I told you, wasn't born yesterday.
Okay.
I know the game too.
All right.
Who you think you're talking to? Just because I'm a judge don't mean I'm not a woman and haven't dealt with men. I understand relationships well. Could teach you a few things probably. Go on. A little bit how to do it better than that. Now, so you put him out when you find out about the customer.
Well, first of all, I didn't even put him out right then, Your Honor, because what happened was, first we were living in Chicago, okay? I've been a single mother for 16 years before I married this man over here, okay? I always worked 2 jobs. I'm a nurse and took care of me and my kids, okay? When we started this marriage, it was all about what do you want out of a man, et cetera, et cetera. And we sat up and we talked about roles as a marriage. And I told him my ideal marriage
So I don't have to give a lecture on you didn't talk?
If I go out, no. Okay? My ideal marriage is to have a house husband. I pay the bills and you take care of the house.
That was
my ideal marriage.
Wait a minute. I don't want to pass that up too fast. Your ideal marriage was to have a house husband?
Yes.
You work 2 jobs and pay the bills?
That's right.
You should have had a lot of takers, did you?
And he take care of the house. No, they feel like it's a threat. They can't have a woman that's making more money than them or that's smarter than them and knows how to take care of business.
Why is that your ideal of a husband?
Because that's all I'm used to, Your Honor. I'm not used to taking care of the house, okay?
So you didn't want to be a housewife?
I do it because I'm supposed to or because I have to.
So you didn't want to do the housework?
Right.
Now, is that why you didn't want him to go to work, is because you would prefer working or you didn't trust the man?
No, I wanted him to work, but when he would work, every time payday would come around, he would disappear, the car would disappear, and so would the check. So that's when I said there's no reason for you to work because the money is not coming in the house anyway.
Can I say something?
So the answer to that solution you thought was with him not bringing the money home, not bringing his body home, and not bringing the car home was to make him stay at home. That's what you thought?
That's what I thought.
You know what? Did you forget that he could cheat on you while he was at home and you at work?
You're right. You're right. But when it's
while you were at work, he's using a cab?
No.
He's
when
been
he
a
was
cab
doing
driver?
this with her, Your Honor, we had moved up to Minneapolis, and he was telling me that he wanted me to be a housewife and stay at home, and he would do the working and pay the bills and everything.
Now, I know you didn't go for that.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I did. I told him we would try it. I told him we would try that. We would try that because I felt like his manhood was being threatened. I said, okay, you know what?
So you were going to try and go against your grain and be a housewife? Now, you knew that wasn't going to work.
You know what? All I can say is I tried my best and I did what I was supposed to do.
So you stopped working?
Right.
And he was supposed to do all the working?
Right.
What happened, Mr. Washington?
Your Honor, you know what? When I was working, I brought all my money home except for maybe $100 a week. You know something?
That's funny to her.
Yeah. It might be funny to her, but you know something though? You know what? I'm bringing every penny home except for $100 a week, and she's going out gambling, saying that she's paying bills.
Now, what is this about you gambling, Mrs. Washington?
Your Honor, I work 2 jobs. And Friday nights, I go play cards with the girls. I sure do.
And do you take the household money when you go?
No, I do not.
Yeah.
I work 2 jobs. Did you hear what I said?
part.
Okay, one of my jobs is enough to pay my bills. Okay?
And the other job is your play money.
Thank you.
And you go play with it.
And I'm going to play and I'm going to do what I want to do with it.
Well,
okay? If I'm working 180 hours every 2 weeks, okay, I get 1 night off a week, I'm going to go do what I want to do when I want to do it.
How come the bills?
Okay,
But
if I'm at home with my husband, if I go home, he gets in the car and he leaves and stay gone the whole weekend. So I just don't go home and I take the car.
When divorce court returns, the judge exposes the real problem in the marriage, Carla's teenage son.
Are you living in separate houses because of the 16-year-old?
Exactly.
So it's not the card games, it's not the dirty house, it's really the son that's coming between the 2 of you.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. Divorce Court is back in the case of Relundus, Washington, who says he's divorcing his wife Carla because she works too much.
Let me ask you something. Was that part of your ideal marriage too?
No.
Is that when you worked your second job? You would work 2 jobs, have a house husband. The second job is your money to do what you want to do, despite what your husband said.
No.
You didn't think that you and your husband should talk about that?
We
Or
did
that you
talk
should
about
be
it,
at home some Friday nights?
and I stopped playing cards with the girls. This is what I'm saying,
But he
Yana.
said gambling. That playing cards with the girls, you gamble?
Yeah.
What you play?
Pity pat.
Oh, for how much money?
$1.
About
$1?
About $300.
Oh,
a night.
please.
Lost his man. Don't nobody have no $300. And they got 2
Pity
kids.
pat is that card game we learned as children.
Yeah. But you match
For $1, when you match
it's
the
$1
cards
for the
together?
game, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, come on, Mr.
It
Washington.
winds up being about $5 a hand because we had little side bets, you know, who has
all
the
night
highest
long.
diamond, who has the highest
But you
this.
matching the cards,
Yeah.
right? All diamonds, all hearts, all spades. That's not gambling.
When he stopped working, my 16-year-old said, I'm not going to clean up the house, and all he doing is laying around all day waiting for you to come home with the car so he can go out and play all night.
The 16-year-old said that.
Yes. He said
That's what he told you.
Yeah.
I work myself sometimes 12, 15 hours a day. And I would come in, I would be tired and have to turn around, clean the whole house from the front to the back, stay up all night long,
But you
and turn
know
around
what,
and have to
Yana?
go back to work
Now,
the
I'm
next
not,
morning.
but you know what?
but
I'm
you know
not
what? This
complaining,
marriage
I'm
is
not
not
even
ending
complaining
over
about
that.
when he
But-
was working. That's
but-
not what I'm
but- but
complaining
This
about.
marriage is not ending over a dirty house.
Well,
I
no,
don't want to hear
it's
it.
not just that. You know what? She has a 16-year-old son that talks to her any old kind of way.
Same son she had when you married her.
Exactly.
Same son
But-
she had when you were dating.
Thank you.
But the thing about it is, I don't have to accept it. You know,
He
she-
wasn't talking to you any kind of way.
If he was her son when you married her, and you're the man, why didn't you exercise some discipline over it?
because she said, don't say nothing to him.
Oh, so she's telling you that you can be her husband,
Right.
but not the child's stepfather.
Exactly.
So it's not the card games, it's not the dirty house, it's really the son that's coming between the two of you.
He plays a very big role. You know, it's like you can still be my husband, but you have to.
Be my husband, do what I say, but don't tell my child anything.
Right, but then it got to this point here is that if I stayed at home, he was going to move. So I have to move over to this one place, pay rent here, give her money to help over
If
here.
you stayed at your house, the 16-year-old was going to move?
Yeah.
So to keep him from moving, you had to move.
So I moved over here, and she told me we can still be husband and wife. There's no way in the
Why,
world.
you living in separate houses?
Right.
Because of the 16-year-old?
Exactly.
You give that boy too much control.
come on,
no,
tell
he
the
did
truth.
not describe it correctly.
Well,
what
you
happened
describe
was,
it to me, because I don't like
what
what I just
happened
heard.
was, on the final blow, when I put him out, okay, the last time I put him out, he snatched my purse, my checkbook, had money transferred out of my account into his account, wrote checks on my account and everything, Your Honor. Okay? So my son was like, well, you know what? If you let him come back after doing all this to you, I'm gone. Okay?
Your son
My
told you that?
Yes.
And so you made a choice.
Exactly. I told him I have a duty to my child until he's 18 years old.
You sure do have a duty to your child. I'm glad you
Okay.
brought that up.
Until
and
he's
the
18 years
the
old.
duty you have to your child is to make sure that your child remains a child and stay out of your business as adults. How does he have the right to sit up and tell you what you can do and not do in terms of your relationship with your husband? You letting that boy control you and your household. And you're going to always have a problem. It doesn't mean that you make a choice of your child versus a man, but you got to keep your child in a child's place. And you don't let a child destroy your relationship by dictating to you what you should do. And if you don't do, I'm gone. Let him be gone. That's his choice.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict. And an update on the case of Angelina Cardona versus Raymond Gutierrez.
All I ever wanted was to be married, have the little fairy tale life.
In reality, marriage is not like the fairy tale.
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back and the verdict is in the case of Relundus, Washington, who is divorcing his wife Carla because he says she wants to be the man of the house.
What do you want me to do about this car?
What I want you to do about it?
Yes.
He said he don't want the car because it's a piece of now because he put so many
Oh, you better watch your mouth.
because he put so many miles on it and ran it into the ground playing cash.
So what do you
he
want
don't
about the
want
car? What do you want me to do about the car?
When he wasn't bringing any money home, Your Honor, we fell behind in the car notes. okay? Because I could not pay the
Now,
bills.
I thought you just said you paid them all.
I was paying them all. That's what I'm saying.
Your Honor, this is the thing. I would give her money. I take my money. She tell me that bills are being paid.
And you didn't know what was being paid is your statement to me.
Right, exactly.
Well, guess what? You should have found out what was being paid because the car note wasn't being paid.
Your Honor, can I say this? You know what? I didn't have no knowledge of her borrowing any money or asking her, or having any plans of her asking her mom to borrow this money. I never made no agreements to tell her, well, you know what, if you borrow the money, I'll help you pay half of it.
Did you make an agreement to pay for the car?
Did I make an agreement?
When the two of you bought the car, wasn't it a note?
Well, you know, our money is supposed to be combined together.
And when the two of you bought the car, it was a car note.
Right.
And you knew it wasn't paid off then.
Right.
And it had to be paid every month.
Right.
So if you don't pay your car note every month, they take it.
Right.
You still have the car still exists.
Exactly.
Which means somebody paid the note.
Right.
And it wasn't you.
No, I'm not saying that it wasn't me, but what
You didn't pay it.
What I'm saying is I was gone for, she threw me out. If I'm not there, why should I pay for something that I don't have any intentions, you know?
Because you signed a contract, because you purchased it during the marriage, it's a joint obligation and debt, and that's why you have to pay for it.
Okay, but an additional loan from, a personal loan from someone?
She said that was to catch it up. I'm not talking about the balance of the note. You're right, you're not there now, you're not driving the car, and the balance of the note since then, she's responsible for. Mrs. Washington's responsible for.
Okay.
But the note that was incurred up to the point of the separation, both of you are responsible for it. If you weren't paying it, she wasn't paying it, somebody had to pay it. If they didn't pay it, you wouldn't have the car. You still have the car, proof that somebody paid it.
Right, she has the car.
My point, the community still has the car.
Right.
So somebody paid it, so therefore my ruling is you're responsible for half. You, Mr. Washington. If we can verify that her mother paid the money for the car. Once I get verification
From 7 to 10 days.
that in fact the car was paid by your mother and it was on this contract, then you're responsible for 1/2 of the payment made up to that point. Now I'm talking about a separation of April. So I'm talking about the back payments due through April. That's what it shall show me. All right. If that's the case, you're ordered to pay half based upon the proof.
Okay, so what are we going to do about the car?
She keeps the car and she's responsible for the balance of the note.
Wait a minute. She keeps the car and she's
What's the balance owed on it?
about $17,000.
She keeps the car and Mrs. Washington is responsible for the balance owed on the note.
Okay.
All to herself, whatever that balance is. She pays it every month. All right?
All right.
That's the order of the court. Court's adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
When Divorce Court returns, an update on the case of Angelina Cardona versus Raymond Gutierrez.
He denied that he even had kids, that he was even married.
Closed captioning for Divorce Court provided by. If you would like to have the judge hear your case in Divorce Court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or email us at www.divorcecourttv.com. And now for an update on a previous case in Divorce Court. Angelina Cardona said after 2 children and 2 years of marriage, she wanted to divorce her husband Raymond Gutierrez because he no longer loved her.
How do I know?
Yeah, tell me, how do you know?
Because I ran into one of the girls.
Your Honor, first of all, okay, when I was still...
Oh, Mr. Gutierrez, she about to tell me something you don't want me to hear.
She said, I didn't know that he was married. He denied that he even had kids, that he was even married.
A stranger told you this, and you just automatically accepted.
I asked him about it. He didn't deny it, and he said it was true. He used to make me cry on purpose.
Would you call it a good mother coming home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
Because you may not want to hear what I would call it.
All I ever wanted was to be married, have kids, have the little fairy tale life.
In reality, marriage is not like the fairy tale.
Angelina said that when Raymond walked out, he left her with no money and all the bills. The judge ordered Raymond to pay Angelina $250 a month for support. After they left court, Angelina and Raymond worked out a joint custody arrangement for their children. Angelina is now in college, so she can begin a career and give her kids a better life.
I think that the judge was really fair and she saw through what he was trying to do. I don't know what he was talking about he was paying notes on the car because he didn't pay a dime.
Well, the judge's decision wasn't fair at all because I'm held responsible for something that I don't have the possession of, and I did not take the loan out.
He needs Jesus. He'll be all right.